I want to talk about how challenging the integrating React Native into existing apps it is today. How many of you tried that maybe in the past recently? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. There are some hands. And how we want to improve that experience so that it's literally a couple of lines of code in a single, even single file if you're using Swift UI. So let's get to it. My name is Michał Pierzchała. I'm a principal engineer at Callstack, working with our open source and incubator teams on projects such as Community CLI, React Native Enterprise Framework, or React Native Testing Library, and probably a bunch of others. Currently, I'm focusing on the Enterprise Framework as our go-to tool to improve the experience working with React Native in large teams and in teams that are just starting with React Native because they're migrating from their, let's say, legacy stack. So what is brownfield development? This is the term that we got from civil engineering, where anything that is building on top of existing stuff, we'll call it a brownfield project. If we start from scratch, we call it a greenfield. So in case of React Native, when we say brownfield development, we mean adding React Native to existing iOS usually or Android application. If we're doing greenfield development, this is what we're doing when we npx create Expo app, or we start with the community CLI. And in the example here, a brownfield integration may look like this. We have a native app shell that has to be an entry point. Even in greenfield app, native application is an entry point because even greenfield React Native app is kind of brownfield. And here we have the native bottom navigation with some tabs, and the services tab is implemented with React Native. So that's our example. So why even bother? Why the teams and companies out there bother migrating or just even considering React Native as a alternative to doing iOS and Android development that works maybe well, maybe not so well for them. So first thing is with React Native, they can change their shipping mindset from coordinated, let's build this with Android, let's build that for iOS, maybe build that for web, and let's coordinate or not our release schedule. So in reality, this often means that all platforms have like their own schedule, the users have incoherent experience, and you get different bug reports or different complaints from your Android and iOS user base. With React Native, you can shift to this continuous shipping mindset because you're building for all the platforms that you're supporting at the same time. So you don't need to think about Android or iOS being like a second-class citizen for your product. Another thing is you can go from zero code sharing between Android and iOS to up to 85 or even like 89% of code being shared. This is stats from our clients and from other projects. For example, Shopify is able to share like 80% of their code between iOS and Android application. They're using React Native. And you can go from 2 teams that are building your mobile product to just 1 team. So this means less people to coordinate, and hopefully faster, more integrated releases. When else you can consider going with brownfield development? So For example, when you have a lot of web engineers that are doing React, they're pretty good at React. They're usually way ahead of schedule for compared to the mobile teams. So it would be nice if you could use that power, that engineering power throughput, and put it in your mobile app. So one way to do it is to put React into mobile tech stack, and this is what React Native allows you to do. Another thing is a lot of companies will use web views to display some web content, and this is fine, and it's working pretty good in many examples. Shopify, by the way, released a very decent article on how to make web views feel more native, with some not so trickery. Even there are some properties on the web view object that you can configure, so it feels more like an app, not like a website. But overall, this is a web engine rendering some content. It's gonna be different, and you may want to convert at least some of those experiences to React Native because you already have like 80% of that code, which is mostly data fetching, etc. Add some more UI to that's specific to mobile platforms, and you can get this just better look and feel for those screens if you're in your application. And last but not least, teams are considering like going with React Native and with Brownfield specifically, so they can ship faster, because for those screens or those functionalities that are built with React Native, they can go live for two platforms at the same time. So how does Brownfield development look like today? First thing is the official documentation will ask you as a native engineer, and tell me how many of you are native iOS or Android engineers? Okay, there's a few, not very many, but I hope you'll get it. So first thing that React Native asks you is like shift your files. So it's like move from single repo to monorepo or something like that. I guess you would be pretty pissed if you needed to adopt a new tool or new library and it asks you to shift stuff around. That's a pretty big blocker. Another thing that the official documentation asks you is to set up NPM, which is like a new set of tools for you as a iOS engineer, for example, and also set up CocoaPods, which is something that you migrated off 5 years ago. So another blocker. And then once you're somehow past those inconveniences, you'll need to integrate React Native's own dependencies into the native build tools that you're doing. So it's not like you're importing React Native, you're importing React Native and Foley and a lot of like transitive dependencies that you could hide somehow from yourself, ideally. And once you're past that for Android and for iOS, you can import React and instantiate it in your applications. And there are good APIs for doing that, specifically React Native Factory that Oscar from our team contributed to the core of React Native over the last year. So what if we could like just remove some of the stuff here? Let's explore that. What if a workflow with those hybrid Brownfield application looked in a way that we'll have a easy way to configure our app to be so that we can package it in a single library or executable or a framework or XE framework on iOS that just packages all of our React Native and JavaScript together. that would be nice. Ideally, if we had a single command to do it for us, that would be even nicer. Then we could package all of that React Native app as a framework and use React to instantiate in our native app. Or actually, we could just use and import that framework that we've just created locally and use it in our application. So this is something that's possible thanks to a combination of React Native Enterprise Framework and the React Native Brownfield library, which we recently revamped so that it works with the React Native Factory APIs under the hood and gives you some really convenient runtime APIs to start React Native, new React Native instance, create a new view, integrate it with navigation, with back buttons, and so on and so forth. So our app that we've seen as an example, it's actually important to realize that these are two apps. First, we have this yellow iOS app. I'm using iOS as an example here. That will have app delegate and a bunch of other stuff that you have there. And then we have the blue app, which is another, it can live in different repository, or in the same one, or you can load it as a module. That doesn't matter. It's a separate project. And it's a React Native app that targets iOS, Android, so it will have respective folders. It will have some JavaScript tooling. And again, it's a separate app. The iOS engineer working on iOS app doesn't have to know about it. So what would the Brownfield setup look like with RNEF or React Native Enterprise Framework that we're building at Callstack look like with the React Native Brownfield library? So again, we started with, let's shift some files around, let's add CocoaPods, let's add NPM, and maybe somehow you'll be able to display React Native in your iOS app, and we'll see where this will go. So we can either create a new app with our framework using npm create, or if you're using the community CLI, you can migrate to our framework in like 10 minutes and then spend a couple of hours or days verifying if everything works together. But it should be easy migration for this base use case. Once you have that, we'll add Callstack's React Native Brownfield library and configure CocoaPods. Again, we're in the React Native app, so there are CocoaPods there, and it's fine. And we'll add a new target called App React Native that we will use for packaging our app so it's consumable by the main iOS application. So to do that in Xcode, we'll need to add a new framework and convert it to a group. We'll need to set up some build settings so that this framework builds and links properly. So it doesn't matter that much what's here. Is like what I want to convey is that there is some single time setup that you'll need to do in your React Native app that once done, you're basically good to go. And next time it's not going to be necessary. Another one-time thing is configuring the React Native Brownfield library, which is essentially those 3 lines of code which you can put in your React Native project. And now that you are in React Native Enterprise Framework project with the Brownfield plugin that we also installed during initialization, you'll have access to the package iOS command So we will target that new scheme, app React Native, that we created, and we'll compile it for the release mode. So it doesn't prompt us to open a dev server when we're doing the debug. And this command will create a few artifacts. It will create the app React Native XC framework. And in iOS terms, it's like a big package that contains smaller framework files and some assets and stuff like this. It will also copy Hermes framework from the core of React Native, and it will copy the React Brownfield framework. So it's like all in a single directory. So you can then drag and drop to your native application. So now that we have all this setup in our React Native application done, we can go to the iOS app. And those frameworks that we've just created, we can, as I mentioned, we can drag and drop them into Xcode, into our project target. And this will link our compiled application with everything that's there, with assets such as images, fonts, or JavaScript, our main bundle. So it's accessible by our project. And now that it's done, we'll need to possibly do some extra setup that React Native require us to do, which is, for example, this defining the window that it can attach to. We'll need to initialize React Native runtime, and with the React Native Brownfield library, we can do that in 2 lines of code. So we'll define where our bundle, where JavaScript bundle is, or how it's named. And we can just start React Native, which will initialize Hermes and all the runtime that React Native renderer needs to start render our application. And once that's done, we'll be able to instantiate the view with a single line. Like in this case, we can use React Native View Controller. That's a convenience method and that we could use on iOS. We'll instruct it with the module name, like main entry point to our application. This is something, if you've developed a React Native application in the index.js file, you'll see like app component, register component, some string, and access to your app component, and it's this name. You can have multiple components registered, so you can instantiate multiple React Native views or view controllers from your iOS app as well this way. And if you're on Swift UI, you can do basically the same. You can also integrate the React Native View component with the navigation. So essentially, this is how you show a React Native view in your iOS application. I don't think there's much possibility to make it simpler. It's like import your app React Native framework and declare your view. That's basically it. And before doing that, let's initialize the React Native. So what about Android? It's pretty similar story. We will need to package and publish our local library. So I won't get through all the setup in Gradle. It's all there in the books that we have prepared for you. It's also available in the enterprise framework documentation and in React Native Brownfield documentation. So the idea is the same. So we install the React Native Brownfield package, and we run some commands that will create our our app as a something that we call FAT AAR library. So it's like an Android package with resources, and then we will publish this artifact to a local Maven. I think it's called Maven Central, and so that it's actually available for our Gradle scripts to download and link this artifact. So to do that, we'll need to in our native application update our settings Gradle and build Gradle with some small logic to give the app idea where to fetch this FAT-AAR artifact from, and what's the name of it. In this case, it's like your app React Native, some version local. And once we're past that, we can, again, similarly to iOS, simply start React Native in our own create handler. And for example, if you're using Compose, it's like declaring the view using the React Native Brownfield shared create view method. And this will work similarly with regular Kotlin setups. You'll just need to write some XML and all stuff like this. It's all documented. So I want to again convey the idea that this is, I think, as simple as it gets. You're like importing some other world into your native application, and the heavy lifting is for initialization and runtime is done for you. So maybe before we'll go next, I'll try to run some demo. Yeah, so what I have here is a application that I just created a few like an hour ago or so, and it's a bare bones Swift UI application with a single entry point here, and there are a few things that I've added. So this is what we've started with: just the body, some content view displaying some hello world, and what I've added is that I've imported our app React Native framework that I linked here, and to do that, I literally copy-pasted or drag and drop stuff from Finder to Xcode. That's all you have to do once you have your files created. So this is this developer/enterprise. That's the React Native app that I've run the package iOS command. It told me that there's some fingerprint calculated. It runs in release mode, and that the build is available in this path, and our framework is actually available here. There is some bug here with different path, but let's not focus on that. Important stuff is that it will point us to this directory, and we'll be able to drag and drop that to our application. And there are ways that we can do it even simpler. We'll work on integrating that with Swift Package Manager, so you won't need to do that drag and dropping. And now that we have our framework here in our application connected to our target app, we can like initialize our app with those commands that we've seen. So we're declaring where the bundle is, like starting React Native runtime in our init handler in the Swift UI app. And then we're doing like some small navigation view with VStack and the link that will open a full screen React Native view called accessing the module enterprise, which is our React Native app. So let's try to run that. Okay, this rendered our React Native Brownfield app. There is push React Native screen, so let's push it. And it opened our fully packaged release version of React Native screen. There's no CocoaPods here. There's no JavaScript server running. So it would run here. You can see there are some traces. I was doing the debugging as well. And that's it. Like this is all you need to display your React Native view as a full screen or as like part of the screen. You can see that you can do it in virtually any way you like in your native iOS application, and it will work pretty similarly in Android. So I think that's pretty great because we've came a long way in terms of setting up all of the things, and now you can have this all abstracted away with our enterprise framework, and when tied with the Brownfield library, you can have very easy access to your app from native. So that's the end of the demo. So what's next? Now, once we have our Brownfield setup, this is usually a start of some journey, and we've solved a, let's say, most important technical challenge, which is displaying React Native conveniently in our native application. And yeah, that's just the start, because from now on, we will need to decide on the migration path, whether to convert our app screen by screen or feature by feature. Because usually what big companies don't want to do is to stop the world, like have a feature freeze for half a year or so and just work on the new app. No one is doing that. And if they're doing, they're usually failing. So what companies want is that they want to continuously release new versions of their app and gradually replace some native screens with React Native. So yeah, we'll need to plan this out. Then we will likely need to upskill our native engineers so that they can understand React Native and they can be more productive, they can be thriving in that environment. We can also teach our web engineers so that they can transfer their React expertise to mobile environment, which is slightly different than the web. So those skills are not transferring one-to-one. It's like you can get started pretty quickly, and once you hit some native problems, that's going to be super challenging for you as a web developer. Next is setting up some good observability for newly migrated screens, because you want to know whether you're degrading performance or whether your users are happy, whether the feel of your application is still native, because you can write React Native code that won't feel native to the platform. You can do that, but you can also write code that's like it's not really possible to tell whether this is rendered with React Native or using native primitives, because under the hood it's all native UI views and in text views and all of that. And then you'll probably want to roll out some A/B testing to the most engaged users, so you can just on the go try to continuously release stuff, turning them on and off depending on the quality of interactions and maybe some engagement metrics and a lot of stuff that, for example, Embrace can give you a good insight to with their analytics. So that's all I wanted to convey, or actually almost so, because at Callstack we're working with those bigger companies, and we're actually deploying those solutions, those Brownfield paths to many clients, especially recently. So if you wanted to try it, check our GitHub, try it yourself, and you can also check our services page where we can talk about some quick integration of some single React Native screen into your application, and you can also talk to us right now as we stand here. So that's it from me. Thank you.